Hey guys, how are ya? Before we start, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched and supported the Timesplitters 2 video. This means more than you can imagine. It's so fun to read all of your personal stories and recount some of my own. This video is about the sequel, so if you haven't seen the first yet, feel free to check it out. There's a link both here and in the description. By the end of this video, you will have understood why this game is so phenomenal. When you reach the end, you will have learned why these sentences were written this way. Without further ado, let's get into the Timesplitters Future Perfect Deep Dive. Timesplitters Future Perfect is an awesome first-person shooter that doesn't take itself too seriously. It was created by Free Radical, a company made up of many previous members of Rare, the company perhaps best known for GoldenEye. Whereas Timesplitters 2 was published by Eidos, Future Perfect was published by Electronic Arts, or EA as it is commonly known. Online sources suggest Free Radical was unhappy with the sales of Timesplitters 2, prompting the switch. However, most online reviews seem to be favorable, so I guess it must have been the reach of the publishing company that was deemed inadequate. There were only a couple commercials about the game that I could find. One was weirder than the other. Fits the monkey theme at least. The primary trailer boasted quite a few designs and events that did not occur in the final product. For one, Cortez's armor looked different, having a bright white color. For another, the Mansion of Madness had a foyer that seemed smaller and much more colorful. That definitely clashes with the idea of horror in my book, so it was probably changed for the best. Beyond that, there isn't much to say about the development side. It was released in 2005 and quickly reached acclaim. As mentioned, Timesplitters Future Perfect is a first-person shooter. In this game you typically complete missions and challenges through the use of weaponry and environmental factors. This game had a few additions and improvements over the previous title. Unlike Timesplitters 2, Future Perfect was rated mature. This means it was able to include things like blood and more suggestive themes. One of the largest improvements to the game was the aiming mechanic. It was now much more in line with common FPS style controls, lacking the floaty crosshair of TS2. Each gun also had full reload animations, something that TS2 did not. You could now melee with any gun, as well as toss grenades regardless of what else you were holding. As this is the case, the alternate fire mode for each weapon was moved to a different button, allowing you to change types at will. Another interesting addition was player-controlled vehicles. On some maps there are drivable buggies and such, a feature that did not exist in TS2. With these improvements detailed, it's now time to get into the story mode of Timesplitters Future Perfect. Before discussing the story itself, some baseline information should be mentioned. The levels are often larger in this game than in previous titles. They also include more checkpoints, making them much more forgiving of error. Adding to this feeling of freedom is the inclusion of many health packs and shields. No longer will taking one bullet before a checkpoint be something to worry about. There is also a drunk character in almost every mission. I'll include them at the end of each after they have been discussed. The story itself is much more lighthearted and personable than that of TS2. There are so many interesting characters and scenarios that really drive your focus to the overarching narrative. The mission stories also vary a bit depending on whether you are playing co-op. Typically, these remove some story sections in order to reduce friction in split-screen scenarios, where the screens are small and the time is limited. For this video, I played through the game in hard mode single player, so that we could experience each bit of story possible. Let's dig in. Immediately following the events of Timesplitters 2, the game picks up with Sergeant Cortez in space. He's returning to a human base on Earth, which at this point looks a lot more like Mars. The Splitter invasion has become pretty dire, and they seem to be all over the planet. As Cortez flies in with the time crystals acquired in the previous title, his ship is hit by some opponent. Losing control, he eventually crash lands. When he does, he realizes he's upside down. Then he smacks the ground.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt!
A small group from the human resistance comes to escort him toward the base. As they move through, Cortez sights a Timesplitter mothership above. Quickly after, he is ambushed by men in black uniforms. Using his plasma pistol, he takes them out one by one. As he continues through the canyon, Cortez sights a shady individual following from above. There's also a mention of Corporal Hart, who died in the previous title.
Perfect. Good to have you back, Sarge.
Say, where's Corporal Hart?
Corporal who?
Never mind.
This way!
She's passed over so quickly, it's almost sad. As Cortez's group nears a bridge, it is taken out by an incoming fighter. Just beyond, the Timesplitter mothership is finally shot down. Next, Cortez is forced into a narrow canyon and uses a sniper rifle to defeat a few more enemies.
Out here, we can't get through. Miller! Oh! Lost Miller!
I always thought this sequence was so funny. It just happens so fast. Eventually, they come upon a Timesplitter itself. It crawls down the wall, visible for moments at a time. Its face is gruesome, gnarled teeth splaying toward the viewer. Fingers can also be seen protruding from its arms. Soon after, many splitters began to attack the group. Hopping on a turret, Cortez helps to slim down the ranks. When the threat is dealt with, he is then allowed into the base proper. The shady figure from earlier is seen once more and seems a little familiar. Meeting with the General and Anya, the Chief Science Officer, Cortez hands over the time crystals. They are placed within a human-made time machine. Anya gives Cortez an uplink to the time machine, and he is, of course, sent on a new job. He will be searching for the time crystals in order to destroy them before they could ever be used. His first target destination is Ernsay, a small island off the coast of Scotland. Stepping into the portal, he heads on his way. Some interesting things to note about this mission are as follows. There's a reference to the movie Alien with one Marine shouting. Also, the bridge that is destroyed toward the middle of the mission is gone before the mothership goes down. This is important to remember for later. Finally, in the cutscene prior to Cortez's departure toward Scotland, we can see something funny on the monitor. Here it says, "Warning, high levels of Buckfast detected." This is a reference to the alcoholic beverage Buckfast, which was originally created by monks in Devon, England. The drink itself is a mixture of fortified wine and added caffeine. It can still be purchased today. The design for this level is fairly simple and linear, as are most Future Perfect levels. Traveling through the monochrome canyons gives a feeling of being surrounded and endangered, which fits the bill for an alien invasion. The second mission begins with Captain Ash rowing himself toward the island of Ernsay. Sergeant Cortez appears and falls in the water, surprising the adventurer. As Cortez climbs aboard, Ash explains that the British Navy is going to bombard the island, which will make things harder for Cortez. However, he explains that they still have some time as he has someone to rescue from the island. A sniper spots them and narrowly misses Ash's head, hitting his pipe. Cortez then takes a weapon and fires it at the sniper, knocking him out in a single shot. Unfortunately for him, that weapon was a flare gun, and that signal causes the Navy to begin its bombardment. Ash rows the two toward the shore, allowing each to begin their search. Working their way through some ruined buildings, Cortez and Ash dodge friendly artillery blasts. They eventually find an entrance into the large castle. Once inside, the two are trapped in a small dock. Cortez makes his way to the top and pulls a lever to lift the portcullis. As the two try and continue their escape, they are pinned by a gunboat, which rises with the waterline. Cortez uses a utility crane claw, probably used for cargo movement, to pry the turret loose. When Cortez lifts this turret from the boat, you can see that it has human legs stuck out beneath it. I can think of two reasons for this. One, they did not want to create an entirely new mechanical model for a turret used in a single mission. Thus, they dragged the turret model onto an NPC, because the legs seemed to be the same as the enemies in the mission, and removed his ability to speak, then changed his weapon sound and fire rate. Second, knowing this company, they simply did it because it was funny. And fun fact, you can actually use the mounted uplink to carry the turret around. Leaving the boathouse, Cortez and Ash see a car drive into the water, after a plane drops a bomb on it. Nearby is an intact vehicle, and the first one that is ever driven by the player. Ash stands in the bed, manning the gun. Cortez drives them through a large gate, and then reaches a raised drawbridge. Using his uplink, which can manipulate objects through telekinesis, Cortez pulls a lever from a distance, allowing the two to continue storming the castle. This is one of the few times the uplink is necessary to use in order to complete a mission. The uplink also has a map function, but companions are shown in red for some reason. I often forget this mode exists because the linear maps reduce the necessity. Either that or I've played the game too many times to need it. Cortez can also use the uplink to launch an explosive barrel at a couple enemies.
Perfect.
They then return the favor, allowing explosive barrels to roll down toward the duo. Cortez and Ash finally break into the castle proper, using a stick of dynamite to blast the door down. Enemy models are strewn about the area, giving the appearance of them being thrown around from the explosion. This is a cool touch. I can imagine their faces as they realize what the ticking was. Once inside, Ash tells Cortez he needs to find a vantage point on the balcony. He rifles through some containers and finds binoculars, as well as some more flares. He says he will use these to signal the Navy once more. Cortez moves alone into a nearby corridor and is surprised to be spoken to by himself from the future. Future Cortez drops him a key, allowing him to continue through the building. If you're enjoying the video, you can allow me to continue making these by liking and subscribing for more. Cortez moves through the wine cellar, then takes a small elevator to meet Ash once more. Ash mentions secret passages and then runs off again to find his friend. Soon, Cortez comes to this really pretty room. There are paintings on the walls of the castle, probably concept art. There are others depicting people in robes as well as JPEG messes I cannot discern. There's a long table in the center of the room, perfect for meetings. The windows are really nice, allowing light to filter into the level. There are a number of cool looking shields along the way as well. Side note, it would be so cool to use one of these axes as a melee weapon. This soldier takes multiple sniper shots to the chest before dying. This guy's a god among men. As Cortez surveys the courtyard through a window, an enemy across the way fires. Cortez accesses a few cameras, landing upon a view of a very interesting bald guy. Then, through another camera, he sees a couple people duking it out. Wonder what the argument was there. What's the story behind this? You can listen in to the meeting taking place where the soldiers inform their leader about the two intruders. They also mention a strange woman they captured. As Cortez bursts in, the leader escapes through a secret tunnel. Cortez removes the remaining enemies and then seeks knowledge. Cortez finds a secret switch, revealing the path that the mystery man took. Finally, Cortez crosses paths with himself again and passes on the key from earlier. This allows the time loop to continue. Another camera room reveals a drunk character being reprimanded in the wine cellar, while another character is sneaking a bottle of booze away with him. The next camera shows Ash looking into the screen, revealing the Jungle Queen behind him. Cortez eventually helps Ash rescue this lady, noting the shrunken heads on her waist. Ash stays with her, leaving Cortez to continue the mission alone. Then the sergeant finds an organ which plays different common songs, including the Anaconda theme from Timesplitters 2. There we go! These windows remind me of The Turn of a Friendly Card, a 1980s Alan Parsons Project album. I doubt this was intentional since they're just stained glass windows. Reaching the courtyard, Cortez has to defeat a tank. This tank looks very similar to an A1E1 Dependent, a tank constructed by the British in real life around the same time frame as this mission. After he defeats the tank, Cortez takes an elevator to the underground segment of the island. He chases the mystery man into a study room and is surprised to see him teleport through time. He left some things behind though, including a photo that Anya may be able to use to track him.
Well, if I took a scan of the photo, I could identify the surrounding landscape with our topographical database. Then, if I triangulated the distances and heights of the buildings, then cross-referenced that data with the architectural styles, I might be able to deduce some probable locations.
How about Stanislav Train Depot, September 4th, 1969?
What?
It's on the back of the photo.
That does it for Scotland the Brave. There are a couple things I should mention here. The castle is based on the Hohenwerfen, according to online sources. This location was used to record an old Clint Eastwood movie called Where Eagles Dare. Many locations in the level, including the courtyard where Cortez fights the tank, are almost exact recreations. About Captain Ash himself, here are a few neat details. He was actually the first playable character in any story mission of the franchise, and is one of the few characters which is included in all titles. In the first game, he visits a tomb in 1935. In TS2, he visits the Aztec ruins in 1920. This mission, Scotland the Brave, takes place 4 years after that. Strangely enough though, the TS2 mission is the earliest, yet Ash looks quite old here compared to the Future Perfect counterpart, which technically occurs later. Strange. The name of this map is a reference to a song by the same name. The level design is pretty cool, if derivative. I think the fact that you are currently being bombed while running through the island really makes it memorable.
Bestest guard. Without me, no guarding. All rubbish guarding. God of guards and girls. Girls love me. So hairy chest. Such a big medallion.
Mission 3 begins with Cortez following the coordinates from before. He lands behind Harry Tipper, who is spying on Kalos, an evil mastermind. Kalos is seen here with the mystery man from before. Tipper explains that Kalos has taken his girlfriend hostage as a result of his having ruined his world domination plans. This doesn't make any sense, as Tipper's first mission in the series takes place in 1970 and does not involve Kalos at all. The only mission prior to Future Perfect that does involve Kalos took place in 1972, which is 3 years beyond this mission. On that point, Cortez inhabited the body of Tipper in the 1972 mission, Atom Smasher, and he was called by name then, so we should recognize Tipper. I would say this applies to Captain Ash as well, but Ash never stated his name in Scotland the Brave or Aztec Ruins. With these inconsistencies out of the way, let's move on with the story. Tipper tells Cortez that Kalos is trying to start World War III. That and the abduction of Kitten Celeste are more than enough to get Tipper in on the action. Cortez stealthily clears the nearby area of henchmen, then enters the building to hear this fun exchange.
It's not fair. The girls get much nicer uniforms than we do.
You want to wear the girls' uniforms?
Yes, I think they give good freedom of movement, and they must be nice and cool in summer.
Oh man, you're weird. Why are you telling me this?
I think you will understand. I have watched you a lot. I think you are not like the others. I think we could become special friends. But now we are alone. Now is time for action, not words.
Mommy.
Tipper uses his laser glasses to remove bars from a drainage grate. As Tipper is making a joke about wishing he had X-ray glasses instead, I'm reminded of his situation in TS2. If he had the laser glasses in '69, why did he not have them in 1972? Did he lose them between now and then? I only ask because he probably would have used them in order to save himself from that chair. Tipper takes a pipe to another location beyond, while Cortez finds his own way. Reconnecting at a water tower, the two plan to get disguises. Tipper slips into the barracks while Cortez covers him from above. Newspapers and posters reference future missions, talking about the Brotherhood of Ultra Science. This one with a minion is reminiscent of old World War II posters. As the two reunite once more, they each put on disguises. Tipper decided to grab a woman's uniform. Femboy henchman.
With these disguises,
Femboy
guards
henchman.
should leave you alone.
He prefers a breeze. They enter the train depot, then hear some women talking about joining the Brotherhood.
Don't worry, the initiation isn't too bad. Although it still hurts to sit down.
Guards walk the parapets and line every walkway. While disguised, Cortez and Tipper sneak their way into the Sector 3 tunnels. But before then, a guard takes a liking to Tipper.
Before you can get this generator going.
Haven't seen you in Sector 1 before.
Yes, I have been transferred here from Sector 4.
Well, you must have really screwed up big to get sent down here with the rest of us deadbeats. Well, I'm glad you did. I look forward to getting to know you better once we rule the world.
They blast their way through Sector 3 until they find a hostage. Tipper gives a line that seems to be out of character. He complains about having to save hostages, which I found odd. Isn't he supposed to be a good guy? Then he bickers with a woman while Cortez continues to chase the mystery man. Along the way, he finds a room where Kalos is printing new currency for post-World War III Earth. Pictures nearby show that he has managed to get a nuclear missile on a train and is transporting it to a launch site. After some target practice, let's just do a little bit of target practice. Nice. Cortez takes the missile and blasts his way to the end of the mission. Or at least he tries. Vehicles are his downfall. Here we go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright, and okay, and alright, and a little bit of alright. Okay. Finally reaching the mystery man, Cortez is kept away by two guards. He kills them and continues through the tunnel to the train. This mission is more comedic than anything, and I do like that they decided to tie in Kalos and further flesh out Tipper's story, however glitched it may be.
Soon we rule world! And I get cars. It's a sports car, so red one. And I love it like a thingy woman. Girls love sports. Ooh, what a big red one!
Okay.
Ooh, so
Forgot how to use the
fancy.
sniper. Tipper boards the train as it leaves, forcing Cortez to find another way there. This mission primarily consists of Cortez and Tipper traveling through the train, wiping out the minions as they go. The two happen upon a hopeful minion who declares he will not be defeated by Tipper.
At last, over 20 years, and I've never once got successful scheme bonus. Foiled every time, right at last minute, and always by damn hairy Tipper. But not this time. Ha!
He is then defeated by Tipper, who uses the ham radio to call to his people and warn them. His call sign is Shower of Gold, another of many lewd jokes.
Cloudy Rainbow. Come in, Cloudy Rainbow. This is Shower of Gold. Over.
Oh my god.
Cloudy Rainbow, are you there?
Cortez moves through some corridors that remind me of Harry Potter. Okay, I would like a chocolate frog, please, and some birdie bots. Eventually, he passes a bathroom with a character who is, having issues.
God, it's like
Oh my god. Oh, see? She just used the bathroom. That's her. Soon after, she flushes the toilet and exits, only to be killed. Afterward, and I don't know why you'd want to do this, you can use the uplink to lift the toilet brush out of its canister. Anything it touches will change color. Nasty. Cortez then finds himself toe-to-toe with a helicopter and uses artillery to destroy it. He crosses paths with himself again, defending the future version from minions, as the future Cortez destroys another chopper. Then he handles the other end of business and climbs atop the train. A luxury car is all that remains between him and Kalos. He takes some time to play the slots, to Anya's dismay. There we are.
You're mankind's last hope for survival, and you're playing a slot machine.
I wouldn't trust any of Kalos' toys, Moon Man.
Well, let me just try. A projector shows slides from upcoming missions, including what looks to be a red minigun design. Either that or it could just be lighting differences. In Kalos' private train car, Cortez and Tipper are trapped. Poison gas is sent into the room. Using the uplink, Cortez pulls the statue lever and removes it. This is the second and final time the uplink telekinesis is necessary to progress the story. He then activates the real purpose that Timesplitters Future Perfect was ever released, the robot cat, Strudel.
Kalos started the countdown. We gotta get to the...
Cortez and Tipper pass by the French missile, which says Le Champignon Atomique, which translates to the mushroom cloud. In the next room, Harry tries to disconnect some wires that would allow the bomb to fire. He fries himself, while Cortez struggles with controls and finishes a puzzle in the nick of time. He then defeats Kalos, ending the mission as Kalos blasts off again. He and Tipper pull the lever, stopping the train just before Celeste. She's saved, and Cortez heads off on his own once more. His next destination is a mansion in Connecticut, where Anya has traced the Brotherhood of Ultra Science.
My friend's gone. Went through big, round, wobbler. It's gone, just like that. It's amazing. Gone in time, gone back. Hope he finds plenty to drink.
This drunk is interesting, as he complains about the fact that his friends went through a time portal, leaving him behind. In the later mission, You Take the High Road, there's a group of people who discuss their past as minions, and how they left everything behind for the time travel life. There could be a connection here. This mission opens with Cortez scaring a teenager who works at Hot Topic. She kicks him in the junk and takes his picture before realizing he's not a zombie. She tells him of the zombies and rumors of research in the haunted building, which he for some reason doesn't believe or understand, even though he fought zombies multiple times in Timesplitters 2. She also says she was dared to come here and has to take pictures as proof that she did it. The two enter the haunted mansion to see a scientist warning them against entry. He mentions terrible experiments and is then killed by a flaming chandelier. Cortez uses a flamethrower to kill these ghosts, known in-game as Batheads. Then he hears his name called spookily by some sort of spirit whisper. Cortez and JoBeth enter a room with a pool table that you can't actually play. This game loses points for that. Finally, something TS2 has over it. Next, the two come into a room where the ghost is hovering. This ghost is of a small girl that was supposed to have a larger role in the story, but was cut down to thin out the mission. This ghost, Edwina, sends a line of fire through the room, blocking the two from venturing further. Going outside, Cortez and JoBeth kill some tiny shy halludes and speak to a scientist. He tells them to leave and not to go to the attic. So they go to the attic. Also, this TV isn't plugged in. Now that's scary. Cortez and JoBeth then get stuck in a large conference hall, and have to fend off waves of zombies that fall down from above. Then, as a major surprise, the mounted deer head on the wall proves to be an entire giant deer carcass. You know, because people mount the whole thing. It charges at Cortez, who does the only sensible thing and hides out of its range. I'm sorry, but look at its health pool, okay? Do you expect me to run in a circle forever? An interesting thing about this mission is that, if you press pause at the same time as opening doors to a new loading cell, you can glitch or even completely remove enemy encounters. This time it just revealed the static deer hunter preemptively. Cortez and JoBeth eventually enter a library and are attacked by more zombies. The variety of zombies causes me to question the reason all these people are here. There's a mix of dancers, regular people, and maids/butlers. The latter two make sense. Perhaps there was a party here which would explain the dancers, and then some random guys snuck in. I would have skipped this one, TBH. Also, JoBeth makes this Clue reference.
I'm guessing Professor Plum in the library, eaten by zombie.
Next, Cortez goes through some creepy rooms. One has a flush chain that is super high up. That's a horror story in itself. Then there is a creepy children's room with red rum written on the wall, which references the Shining movie based on the book by Stephen King. Maybe they were raising children here as subjects. The markings on the board suggest there were multiple people. It would normally be strange for things to be written so high or so legibly, but if these kids were genetically modified, then who knows? Also, the Drop Dead Winna plotline most likely would have tied in here. It could explain the rocking horse which moves on its own. In the original story, maybe Edwina was tested on and died as a result, leaving her energy to haunt the place. This room gives a lot to the imagination. Another room has a dead person in a tub full of blood. Then we get a fun surprise as a zombie bursts out of a wardrobe. These beetles flood the hall and explode into a bloody mess when killed. I don't understand where they came from or why they are here. Sometimes scarabs are associated with immortality in old Egyptian tales. Perhaps the scientists tested on all sorts of living creatures. Cortez finally finds himself in the attic, then kills ghosts while Edwina sends fire at him. Eventually, Cortez finds a scientist that tells him they were doing research to find a way to live forever. He then finds himself outside and is attacked by a giant grotesque creature. It can spit fire, attack with giant claws, and slam its fist into the ground to cause damage. The way I typically defeat the boss is by shooting the head. However, I was looking back through an old Prima guide and noticed this. I had forgotten entirely that there was ever an eyeball to hit. I went back in on easy to get this segment quicker, and sure enough, there's the eye. The creature takes enough damage to the head, so it doesn't really necessitate using the mechanic. Still, it's cool to be reminded of something I had totally forgotten about this game. Then comes my very least favorite part. Oh, I hate this part. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's irrational, but the thought of giant carrion carcasses running at me and mooing at me even though they don't have the biological apparatus to do so anymore creeps me out. Take care of them. You do it. Like, I know this is supposed to be funny, but I'm admitting right now, this shit's disgusting and creepy to me. Oh my god. You Oh my gosh, I just had the really unfortunate realization that I have to deal with this for much longer later on because there's a challenge for this, if you guys remember. Overall, this mission is super spooky. As much as I hate zombies, I think this mission really delivers on the claustrophobic creep factor. The music helps too, changing from one track to another depending on mission progress. Also, I have to add a story here because I don't know where else to put it. So, you know our secondary character, JoBeth? She wears an interesting shirt, huh? And sorta dresses raunchy? Well, when I was a kid, I saw an image of her official model online with the Future Perfect logo. This was before I ever knew there was a Timesplitters 3, by the way. I was so stoked about there being a sequel that I took a picture and made it the computer wallpaper. The family computer wallpaper. I had no idea what the word on the shirt meant, and it led to a very interesting conversation with my parents later. Let's move on to the next mission.
It can ruin your day when zombies come your way. Lest you knock off their heads, you'll be dead. And there's things in the wall. I don't like them at all. They killed lots of people. Horrible beetles.
Cortez and JoBeth find themselves at the top of a ladder. Zombies are heard below, scaring both of them. This leads to what is probably the funniest cutscene in the whole game.
You go first.
Okay.
Soon after, they make their way down, which leads to no zombies, strangely enough. The two get separated. JoBeth falls down a hole, leaving Cortez alone. He soon comes upon what looks to be her, but is actually a shapeshifter. One of many, in fact. This phenomenon is not further explored, though it would be interesting if so. Cortez soon finds JoBeth upside down in a sort of mine shaft. It looks like this area was used to store cadavers. After Cortez defends her, she falls flat on the ground. They make their way through a hall as a zombie sprints at them. Soon after, another zombie passes by on an elevator and gives a polite wave. What's that sound? Oh, hi. The two continue on to find the entrance to the secret labs. There's a scientist that is killed and converted by other zombies. A nearby computer unlocks a door and shows camera footage of different test subjects. The company forums read one member typing "eat brains" repetitively. There's also an audio log where a person lists a locker combination. It's never actually finished. This is a reference to Doom 3, a game which had plenty of audio logs which would unlock ammo caches. Moving on from this point, JoBeth and Cortez encounter electric zombies.
Electric zombies? That is like so unfair.
That's shocking. Sorry.
In the next room, Shoots drop zombies. These were probably used to drop cadavers from failed research projects. Or it's an undignified morgue. Imagine you die and they're like, alright, you deserve to have a little more fun. One more ride down the slide. While Cortez defends her, JoBeth hacks and opens the door. In a single-player campaign, you can access these microscopes which show a rapidly multiplying cell. As viruses cannot replicate themselves, this would represent an infected host cell multiplying into more infected cells. Through a terminal, we learn of a zombie that is allowed to roam freely, one who is a brilliant scientist and then injected himself with some form of the virus as a test. We'll see him later. Next, we happen upon a zombie that has another one glitched alongside it. Just for you guys, I showed the entire process of what can be done using the nearby terminal. From this computer, you can basically torture them, which is messed up, but I'll do it just to show. You can heat him up, you can electrify him, you can zombify him, which I think is already done. Unzombify. Oh, so next we're gonna do heat. This feels terrible. Okay, so light him on fire with a flamethrower from the corner. Next is electricity. This feels so awful. He's still on fire, now we're electrocuting him. And you can stretch or make him thinner. Oh. Give him a giant head. Oh my god. Looks like a balloon. And just do flatten. Man, he went on a juice cleanse. I think he was supposed to shrink, but his model just totally effed up. So now he's a trash can. After this evil display, we move on to see this guy. He's the scientist zombie mentioned before. He's really dumb now and feeds that giant monster from earlier. He calls her Princess and says her eye was damaged, a reference to the mechanic from before. Also, he feeds her zombie legs. All zombies have regulation shoes of the same size. Let me go ahead and feed her one myself. Soon after, the duo comes across the mystery man. Unfortunately, the guy drops Cortez through a trapdoor and does something else with JoBeth. Cortez takes the unprotected tunnel of love and comes across himself from the future. They take turns protecting each other from zombies and ghosts until they each reach their destinations. Cortez finds himself deeper underground in a lava-filled cavern. Princess, the giant beast from before, is still alive. It seems the mystery man told the scientist from earlier to try and feed JoBeth to the monster. We have to save her by killing Princess. It's super hard to hit this canister. Also, Anya makes a Jaws reference. Smile, you bitch. I've never heard her say that, that's awesome. The game also makes multiple mentions to a bandage on its eye, but I never saw it. Maybe it was a scrapped idea with a voice line left behind, or my eyes just don't work. These creatures are known as ragbugs in the files and have skull-like faces. There's no indication of how these guys came to be. Cortez and JoBeth find a room full of terminals and read reports of zombies escaping the project. Then they access the diary of Jacob Crow, revealing the name of the mystery man. He's searching for immortality, of course. We are then locked out of the terminal in a sequence referencing Jurassic Park, another Spielberg movie. Yep. Back, thank you. This time, it's setting the building to explode. Cortez and JoBeth sprint through the corridors to escape the building before it self-destructs. Crow laments the loss of his research as future Crow appears nearby. The younger Crow is confused, thinking this is his grandpa. Future Crow gives him a time device before the other two arrive, and things get awkward.
Hey, you again?
What?
Cortez leaves to go after Crow, leaving JoBeth behind. This level is pretty neat and gives at least a little explanation for the mission that came before. The music is fitting and keeps the high pace. The zombie holdout sections aren't too bad either.
That was intense.
I'm smart. Smartest man in the whole world. I would have invented the microwave if someone else had not done it. I would have invented gravity, pineapples, donuts.
Cortez is teleported through time to 2052, where a corporation called Eugenics is understandably under investigation by the government. According to Anya, the Brotherhood of Ultrascience had been traced to this company. Once there, Cortez appears on a rooftop. He notices a very acrobatic woman sneaking through the place. She crawls in through a vent as Cortez tries to follow. He starts by killing a man on his lunch break and taking his Transformers lunchbox. Using this, he takes out all the cameras and laser tech protecting the rooftop from intruders. He then slips into the office building, searching for the strange woman he had seen before. While on the rooftop, the player can see multiple references, including a Datadyne logo from Perfect Dark, an FRD symbol for Free Radical Design, and a newscast of the woman that was a hostage in Mission 3, Neophyte Constance. Eventually, Cortez happens upon a terminal that shows the woman from before pulling off some epic stunts. The camera then switches to an operable turret that Cortez uses to protect her. After he fends off a large squad of guards, Cortez kills a robot and quenches his thirst. Is anybody thirsty? I kind of am. I would really love some rain ulu? Rain ulu? Rain, it says rain drinks, but I wouldn't trust anything that comes out of this thing. Cortez uses a cute cleaning robot to sneak into different rooms. He then sets off some alarms that cause a worker to come mess with the computer. He has a lot of wisdom to share.
I don't understand that either. How is it possible to hire so many useless secretaries? Perhaps if he tried someone a bit more mature, with greater experience, their performance would be more satisfactory.
He's got a point.
This next scene is straight out of the original Ghost in the Shell, which is very cool. There's a curving office later that has the same style windows. Strange thing here, this mirror reflects the ladies' bathroom doors, but doesn't change if you open or close them. Cortez finally gets caught by the woman from before, who turns out to also be after Crow. Her name is Amy, and she must be from the government. After another holdout section, Cortez can access the lower floors. This room was the one I mentioned before, another one inspired by Ghost in the Shell. Also, this keyboard has the keys all swapped around. The Y and Z are swapped, among others. After an energetic sprint through the office halls, Cortez and Amy stop at an elevator. The ensuing conversation as they wait is riveting.
So, been with the agency long?
Yeah. 3 years in May.
You get dental?
Yeah.
That's good.
Eventually, they make their way into the next floor down, getting ever closer to Crow. This mission has adrenaline-inducing music, some minor stealth elements, and some really cool weaponry. The time grenade is absolutely awesome to use, slowing the enemy's reactions, and the SBP-500 is fun as well. Aside from occasionally getting turned around, I really like this mission.
As if it all was left for my dreams, I was gonna be in a band. Gonna be famous, rich.
I wonder where it all went wrong for him.
Cortez and Amy continue down into the Eugenics headquarters. Here, Crow has set up another set of research labs. Our first enemy is a small robo-spider. It is sort of a bullet sponge. In order to continue, the heroes need to find an access card. Luckily, Cortez sneaks into a bathroom and finds one. 2 scientists are hitting the showers, discussing their experiments gone wrong. Cortez swipes a card off the counter and heads into another room, finding a disguise and a dart gun. He also takes an ID that I'm fairly certain has a picture of one of the developers on it. Taking on the doctor's name, he continues on as Dr. Gordon. I really like how expendable all these people are to one another. Basically, no one questions whether Cortez looks different than the real scientist whose stuff he took. Also, the name Dr. Gordon could be a reference to the playable character in Half-Life. If only I had a crowbar. This mission has a lot of sterile walls and pale colors which fit in the lab setting. As a laboratory technician, I'd say the aesthetic is fairly accurate, except you're missing unlabeled beakers all over the place. For whatever reason, you are able to turn on the water faucet. The next room has a security checkpoint. Here, Cortez is scanned and confirmed by the machine to be Dr. Gordon. He is then told by 2 guards that the next room is off limits. One of them sounds a lot like Laura Prepon, who played Donna from that 70s show.
It's nothing to worry about, just a small problem in one of the labs. Why not check email or something while you wait?
Before you think I'm crazy, she did do voice acting as a Marine in Halo 2. Seeing as this game came 1 year later, it could very well be her. Cortez takes control of the spider bot and uses it to take out both guards. He then reads an email called Bag of Bum, which describes the tactics of the Brotherhood when deciding test subjects. Once through the door, the 2 of them bear witness to a gruesome sight. Scientists are being killed in the labs, ostensibly by their creations. Also, this woman deserves an award for her voice acting. It sounds like a real scream. The next room has a sterilization chamber that both Cortez and Amy move through. Amy says not to peek into the chamber as she changes into a disguise of her own. You can't see anything anyway as the model disappears in the steam. Not that I checked. Scientists are told to pack up data and leave. As they do, some guards check out Amy.
Check out the brunette. She's coming over here.
Wow, yeah, I haven't seen her before.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. We can't let you through. And believe me, you don't want to go...
Believe me, it would have been less painful if you hadn't called me sweetheart.
Moving through the next few rooms, Cortez and Amy cross paths with a scientist who gives them an explosive serum for the dart gun. Cortez reaches a room where security guards are fighting mutants that have been created through experimentation. These poor mutants lug about as grotesque abominations of their former selves. In a generator room, many mutants battle guards. They use an electrical shock ability and phase in and out of visibility, very much like the Berserker splitters we had seen before. During a battle shortly on, there was this epic shot where I time-bombed a couple guards. Let's do one of these. Oh, that's cool. That was actually pretty sick. After this, another guard makes an alien reference. You have to reset.
Game over.
Cortez enters a room where mutants are being tested on. As horrible as it is, the player can use the system to dig drills and spinning blades into the test subjects. On one half, the mutants look much like Timesplitters. The other shows the sad remnants of humanity. Cortez decides to put them out of their misery. Soon after, he finds a large circular room. Many different versions of himself appear to complete hacking puzzles and or defeat robots that are attacking. This slows the mission way down and is honestly the part I dread most of the campaign. It just takes so long. When done, Cortez finds that Amy somehow made her way ahead, probably by using some vents. They find a dead-end room containing Crow himself. Crow then orders a set of drones to begin firing on the two of them. After these are defeated, Cortez approaches Crow, accidentally teaching him how to continue working on his evil plans. The younger Crow arrives and gives him a time device. How he has two, I'm unsure. Perhaps he took the one he was given in '94 and reverse engineered it. Future Crow then escapes, upsetting Cortez.
Damn it! Spaceman! Oh yeah.
Somehow Tipper hears this. It's a funny scene but makes no sense. This is the year 2052. The last time we saw Tipper was in 1969, which was 83 years prior. If he was still alive at this point, he certainly wouldn't look the same. This leads into my conspiracy theory. We know that Cortez is able to speak to Anya using his uplink. She is still in 2401, yet able to converse with him in real time. Is it crazy to think, as a radio is playing in the background in the cutscene, that Cortez's yell happened across the same radio frequency of Tipper's sound system, reaching him by way of the uplink? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. After Cortez has his tantrum, Anya reminds him of a problem posed by the defeated drones. They're part of the R100 series, a set of robots that was created during the Machine Wars. This event took place prior to Cortez's real time. Putting two and two together, Cortez and Anya decide Crow must be the reason for this, further tying him into the events of the Timesplitters universe. Cortez is sent into the future, leaving Amy to wrap up loose ends. This mission is fun to play through, but is really bogged down for me by that segment with 4 Cortezes.
I know it sucks.
Okay.
I had to do it twice too. Me too. And me.
I also think it's funny that they know. It just moves so slow. It's a common hazard that comes with the time travel genre, and so it gets a bit of leeway here. I'm just glad nothing this annoying happens again.
So a lot of fuss about a few mutants wandering about. It's okay. I'll be alright in the morning.
Another outbreak of dangerous creatures. Crow's on top form again.
The next mission starts with Cortez hacking an R110 robot. It only shows for a moment, but there's a funny pinup style bot as the wallpaper for the interface. After hacking the robot, Cortez is given a weapon. Then 2 humans come along and tell him to follow. Before leaving, you can turn around and immediately grab a double set of handguns. Running through the wreckage of buildings, Cortez and other members of the human resistance defeat large robots. These bots sound really cool and can be difficult to defeat, as some shoot rockets.
Multiple targets.
Oh, that's the sound of a big one. There are also human members of the robot side of the war. They must be pawns in the game. Cortez and R110 soon find a tank that was commandeered by the other 2 human survivors. They take it through a short road until Cortez comes across his future self. Past Cortez drives, while future Cortez shoots. Once they reach the end of the line, future Cortez takes R110 with him, leaving Cortez to move alone with the human resistance for a bit. He is told of an implantation procedure that R110 assures him is completely painless. It is necessary for Cortez to make his way into the primary facility, thus he and the other humans try to find the implantation chamber. It doesn't take long, and Cortez luckily survives the procedure, prompting the others to attempt the same. They travel next through a valley of turrets. Along the way, the other two humans are unfortunately killed, leaving Cortez alone. Luckily for him, he soon finds his past self with R110. This time he mans the weaponry as the tank rolls once more through the streets. Robot ships are flying through the air, shaped like clovers. They quickly stream past, shooting purple lasers at the team. Before long, Cortez reaches the end and takes R110 once more. They make their way through some robot-infested ruins, then find an intact buggy, which they drive toward a giant Goliath battle droid. Cortez uses it to blast the aerial units away. This segment is actually super cool to me, and acts as a sort of victory lap since the player takes barely any damage. When the Goliath droid reaches the end, Cortez and R110 run through the newly unobstructed area, reaching the robot workers' entrance. This ends a really simple mission. There's some details that really shine though. The robot designs, particularly the Encetic SD-12s, are very cool. They're both sleek and intimidating. Also, the ragtag appearance of the humans is appropriate to their position of being on the back foot. It's a shame they die so early on.
Okay, watch your step. Come on, this way.
Should never let them. Big mistake. Now they think they'll kill us all.
Cortez and R110 descend into the robot facility. There they see a ton of tanks ready to roll out and kill more humans. Taking an elevator, they make their way down to an access room. Ultranet, the name of the robot company, is proudly displayed on a holo panel. This is the corporation Crow leveraged his research into creating. Perhaps he believed robots were superior to human minions and that they could not be killed by age. A medic robot floats nearby and is killed by R110. As the robot gets a handy from the computer, Anya explains that Crow is using the facility to grow an army of Timesplitters in an incubation bay. When R110 is released from the system, he is infected with the virus.
Core programming is being subverted. Activating countermeasures. Virus contained. I feel strange. I feel good. Let's saddle up and kick some butt.
I, and many others probably, believe it to be an improvement. He has gained a fun personality and becomes a lot more personable. R110 tells Cortez to grab a nearby electro tool. This is a weapon that looks and acts very similar to its TS2 counterpart, but includes an alternate fire mode which can send a single blast at a time. The electro tool can be used to stun robots for a moment, allowing the player to swap to a weapon and headshot them. It can also be used to remove laser doors and energy shields.
Oh no, of course. Well, that's it for us. We gave it a good try.
Despite R110's wishes, we continue deeper into the facility. He acts a terminal and allows us to move further. He then rants about how robots are superior to humans.
Humans go squish at the slightest touch.
This mission includes rolling robots which recall the moving canister bots from TS2. These ones move and shoot much faster, however, and must be dealt with quickly. After destroying another, R110 talks smack to the robot in the distance. Cortez continues alone into a large chamber. He uses an electro tool to spin the flying drones out of control. Anya tells Cortez that this big antimatter charge is the source of power for the entire facility. If destroyed, it would cause all Timesplitters in the incubation center to die prematurely, losing life support. He moves to the bottom floor, prepared to destroy the power source. Droids roll down the walls, threatening Cortez. Then he lobs a well-placed nade into the core, taking main power offline. However, a backup generator is turned on, and a security Goliath moves out to attack Cortez. He takes care of it pretty easily. He then takes a vent toward a giant laser gun. Turning it against the enemy, he blasts the station to bits. Finally, he comes across the most important room of the mission. In the incubation room are hundreds of Timesplitter pods, growing mankind's worst enemy. Large mechanical arms perform some sort of maintenance on the pods, while Cortez fights another wave of robots. Also noticing for the first time, there's something written on the minigun. It seems to say, Classic number 37, the Vulcan minigun. I had to do a little test to figure it out. This just references the IRL Vulcan minigun. This is interesting though, as I had not read anything about this inclusion online. Back to the mission. Cortez uses an electro tool to overload the backup power source, leaving all Timesplitters stillborn. He then defeats a final group of aerial bots before powering his way across a bridge and into an underground mansion. Robot butlers defend the interior but stand no chance against Cortez. He works his way to the back chamber, reaching a terrifying abomination which attacks him. The beast is made of flesh and machine, sports 3 sets of arms, and has mounted turrets all across its body. It sends out bits of flesh that are explosive, giving Bomberman a run for his money. When the creature is defeated, R110 enters the teleportation grid, arriving a little too late. The creature rises from the ground, then throws Cortez and the robot apart. They're surprised to see that it's Crow himself, now part of a disgusting cyborg atrocity. He believes himself beyond mortality now, and considers the Timesplitters, his creations, to be genetically superior to humans. When Cortez mentions Kalos, Crow laughs him away as a pawn in the game. In his hubris, he reveals how and where the time crystals were found, which was under the island of Ernsey in Scotland back in 1924. As Cortez and R110 travel back in time, Crow vows to end their interference. Thus ends the mission. Fighting robots is fun aside from the rolling ones. I do wish the Goliath fight was a bit more interactive, maybe with Insectic bots spawning consistently instead of the 2 rollers. Also, there's a definite lack of humanity in this mission, both literally and not. This was probably intentional, but it does seem a little less memorable than other missions as a result. What I enjoy most about this mission is R110's banter and the soundtrack, especially this part. It has an industrial sound that really fits the robotic aesthetic. Returning to Ernsey, Cortez realizes his past self had just barely missed a breaching submarine. He takes a soldier and throws him against another who has an adamantium skeleton. Chiropractors hate him. Cortez and R110 enter the submarine and set it to travel back to the last known location. As they reach the underwater station, they are hailed by soldiers. Cortez and R110 are too busy dancing to care. The soldier on the radio says the Barracuda, the submarine Cortez is on, was not supposed to head back to the station. Giving barely any time to respond, the soldier orders guards to pay the Barracuda a visit. They're quickly dispatched as R110 calls them human maggots. Alright. The underwater station is really cool, sporting portholes through which cyan-colored light filters through. The steampunk atmosphere is great and reminds me of BioShock, which came out only a couple of years later. After killing some more guards, Cortez and R110 come to a cool rotunda. Then R110 gets himself stuck down a pipe. Cortez continues without him, then happens upon some divers clad in underwater gear and sporting harpoon guns. Perhaps they were completing underwater repairs or simply fishing for lunch. After some time, Cortez finds himself in a small underground village called Cronia. It is really cool and again reminds me of BioShock, but not nearly to the scale of Rapture. Next, a steampunk robot breaks out from a crate. He looks very cool and releases steam when he's defeated. Cortez then works through the streets of the underground city. If it weren't full of evil people, it would be super awesome. It still kinda is. I wonder if the soldiers and workers have families moved in here. Knowing Crow, they probably wouldn't get benefits. Reaching the drill shaft, Cortez is reunited with R110, who falls from a pipe above. The next segment consists of Cortez activating coal-powered generators, which allow the drill to function. These were shut off by the workers in order to prevent his advance. The generators also have specific names, including the following: Neptune, Manticore, Liparis, and Volante. All of these are names of boats within the James Bond series of movies, another handful of the many references within this game. Once they're all powered, Cortez and R110 ride the drill down into the crystal dig site. They come upon a room full of time assassins who plan to hunt and kill Cortez. They're all wearing the same garb as the very first enemies we ever fought in the story. They use a flattering image of him as well, just to make themselves jealous. Cortez fits into a disguise, but poor R110 cannot. He has to stay behind. As the time assassins pile through the portal, Cortez follows. This mission is very cool. The underwater civilization theme is strong, and the steampunk aesthetic complements it well. There's a reason it's a popular theme. I also like that we go back in time and see ourselves fail ever so slightly by missing the sub the first time around. The title of this mission references lyrics in another Scottish song.
Greetings.
I miss me girl. Eyes like little kitten, so sweet. Skins like silk, so soft. Breath like dead dog.
Ew.
But nobody's perfect.
The next mission opens with you looking at yourself directly after the crash. The secret assistant from the shadows in the first mission is now revealed to have been Cortez from the future, coming back to save his past self. As the player, you assist yourself from on high, really bringing things all together. Time assassins drop left and right as future Cortez snipes them with lasers. Reaching the bridge, future Cortez hops into a turret and helps to take down the Splitter's mothership. Soon after he does, the bridge is hit by a tumbling fighter and collapses. This was not the case in the first mission, as the mothership is defeated after the bridge is destroyed. This was either an alternate timeline or an oversight. I'm going with the latter. After the ship is down, Cortez continues to guide himself all the way to the base proper. Once this important task is completed, Cortez laments his inability to stop things even sooner. The mission ends as he is transported back to 1924 in order to finish things with Crow. The title of this mission, The Hooded Man, may be a reference to the Case of the Hooded Man, which was a murder case that took place in England in 1912. Apparently, the defendant, John Williams, not to be confused with the very talented composer, wore a hood to and from all court proceedings. Other than the title and location of the crime, there is not much to suggest a real connection. Back in Cronia with R110, Cortez finds Crow's time machine. It was built directly adjacent to the crystal dig site. Cortez finds the path into it and sees the unrefined green crystal. Anya suggests it must have landed in a meteorite. Perhaps somewhere out there in the universe was a set of asteroids that all contain crystals brimming with energy. Humanity decided to use it to power time devices, and hence we named them the Time Crystals. If there ever were to be a Timesplitters 4, perhaps a new conflict could occur where a big bad evil guy aims to find this asteroid belt and mine its resources for evil. Or humanity could seek it out and use it for efficient energy, which somehow goes wrong. We'll talk about the future of the series later on. Grabbing a chunk of the crystal, Cortez plans to activate and overload Crow's time machine. Seeing as how the crystal is unrefined and unstable, it should cause a major explosion that destroys everything around it. Before he can do this, Crow appears to battle once more. Cortez weakens him before R110 is destroyed.
I only wanted to be loved.
Damn it!
Realizing he is no match alone, he has Anya send himself back in time.
What are you doing here? I'm here to give you a hand with Crow. Crow? But Crow's not here. We gotta stop meeting like this.
Finally, Crow is defeated once and for all. His final words, Rosebud, is a reference to the movie Citizen Kane. Cortez drops the crystal chunk into the central power unit. Anya tells them to set all levers to maximum power. They then ask Anya to pull them back to the future. Cortez returns to the future, successful in his mission. Back in the past, the crystals explode. All evidence of that reality fades away, including the human time portal and R110, suggesting that the machine wars never occurred, as they were caused by Crow in the first place. Cortez and the others walk to the window to witness Earth become green once more. I feel like the battle with Crow was cool enough. Part of me wishes it were a little more difficult, or that it had some sort of wave system with enemies coming to assist him in the time portal's defense. The method of using unrefined crystals to destroy what is basically the first time machine ever is actually pretty cool. This helps to wrap things up for the most part, erasing some of the more messy time periods from worry.
Oh, Cortez. You're my hero.
I know. It's what I do.
Remember those lines I wrote at the beginning of the video? When I told you that by the end you will have understood why this is such a great game? Now's the time to explain. Those two sentences were written in a grammatical tense known as future perfect, which is used when speaking about something that will be completed before some point in the future. The game's title, Future Perfect, is a fantastic summation of the goal of the overall mission, to end the Timesplitters conflict before it ever began. When I was younger, I never understood the title, other than assuming that the goal of the story was to make the future be perfect. LOL. There were so many references in the campaign that I could not possibly have caught them all. I did my best to showcase the ones I noticed, which seemed to be the clearest. There are many titles and such that could be references, but without strong evidence I would be sharing nonsense. Before we leave the story section, I would like to wrap up my thoughts here. Starting with the many positives, the game feels so much more forgiving and free-spirited compared to the earlier titles. The abundant health and steady aim are a godsend. Also, the weapons are all pretty fun to use, with some being cool in their specific circumstances, such as the dart gun. The amount of missions and the weaving of classic Timesplitter scenarios, zombies, henchmen, robots, etc., are all on display in a way that makes sense. The only thing we're really missing is an alien mission. The level designs are quite linear, but for a campaign this large and a story more complex than before, that makes sense. The characters are very interesting and unique for the most part, and I enjoy how they fleshed out Harry Tipper and Captain Ash. Amy Chen was pretty sick too. I do wish Gretel made an appearance somewhere in the Machine Wars though. Now, for the very few negatives. You may have noticed I didn't talk much about the music in the story. The tracks are all made with a more sweet style approach, meaning they serve to sit in the background and enhance the emotions that the missions are trying to convey. They aim not to take away attention from the story, but to add a sense of continuity as we follow a singular plot from beginning to end. This is very different than TS2 where most levels were self-contained stories, lending themselves to more specified tracks that fit their time periods. While the songs in this game do fit the time period, they certainly don't grab your attention like something such as Chicago or Neo Tokyo. I don't find myself listening to any of the music from the Future Perfect campaign, but a few from the arcade and such. This is probably due to the fact that Graeme Norgate was not the only person to work on this game's soundtrack. There were a few other people, including Ross Tregenza from Goteki, Christian Marcusson, Jeremy Taylor, and Steve Crocker. Graeme did a lot of great tracks as always, including Scotland the Brave, VR, Spaceport, and the Virtual Tile Set, which is a remix of the Timesplitters 2 credits theme. My favorite from Marcusson was that one part from Something to Crow About, mentioned previously in the mission section. From Tregenza, it was the Like a Robot or Monkey series. Crocker did Zeppelin, which I enjoy, and Taylor did Venice, which is nice as well. When it comes to gameplay, I wish we were forced to use the wrist-mounted uplink more often. It is only necessary for a couple parts of the story, which basically serve as a tutorial for its use, or to remind the player of its existence. For something that probably took a lot of effort to code and produce, I didn't find myself using it much. Beyond this, I wanted to talk about a major story element that sorta bugs me. I'm prepared for people to disagree, and that is totally okay. Feel free to chat about it in the comments. Maybe you can convince me to feel differently. Let's rip off the band-aid. I would prefer if the Timesplitters had actually been aliens. In my head, they had been all along, though there were always signs, even since the first game, that they were human. In TS1, they basically look like human zombies. In the starting cutscene for TS2, they are not called aliens, but a race of creatures. Future Perfect is careful to do the same, never calling them aliens. The only two splitter species in TS2 were both bipedal, with the Reapers being more feral than the Scourges, which were listed as being the leaders of the Timesplitters as a race. They even wore jorts. So the seeds were planted and grew into the story scene here. And yet, I find myself wishing Crow had just allied himself with some already existent alien splitters in order to gain his supposed immortality. Maybe he was the reason they found the space station in TS2, a traitorous olive branch. The fact that he created them sort of removes the intrigue I felt in that game, where I was convinced they were spooky aliens that had secret motives and some society way out there in the cosmos. The fact that only one splitter species exists in Future Perfect is also sort of a bummer, but just because I like the TS2 design so much. Playing through the game and slowly watching the Berserker splitters be created is actually really cool and well done. The whole human experimentation stuff all makes sense. They're a further evolution upon the Reaper design and look gnarly. For what the story sought to achieve, I think it did a fantastic job. It's a lot funnier, warmer, and more accessible than the previous titles. Anytime a friend wants to play Timesplitters, Future Perfect is usually the go-to. This game comes with a customizable multiplayer experience. In it, players can choose from a variety of game types, rules, maps, and characters. There are also power-ups that add some tomfoolery, such as invisibility, represented by a golden orb wearing a cloak, super speed, represented by a blue sphere containing a ball with wings reminiscent of Hermes, shrink, a green orb which allows the player to become smaller and thus a harder target, and finally, damage boost, which does exactly what it says on the tin. This one is red and has what looks to be a mace ball inside. When it comes to game types, the player can choose from the following: Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch, in which players kill each other for points. Capture the Bag, which requires teams to protect their bag while stealing and returning with the others. Bag Tag, where the player who holds onto the bag longest wins. Elimination, where players have limited lives and are eliminated from play once they exhaust them. Shrink has players contending in a free-for-all deathmatch, but with a catch. Your size is dependent on your current standing on the scoreboard. The better you do, the larger you are, and thus the bigger the target. Losing players become difficult to hit due to their reduced hitboxes, which could allow them to climb back up the ladder. Vampire requires you to kill other players to regenerate your health. Thief has players kill enemies, then pull a coin from their body for a point. If another player takes the coin, even if they didn't get the kill, they get the point. Oh, you... Virus begins with one player engulfed in green flames. They chase all other players until each one catches fire. Whoever catches flame last wins. No. Zones is a territory game where different zones exist across the map. Points are awarded in increments of 5 seconds or so, depending on which zones are held by who at that time. Assault is a difficult mode in which one team attacks another while completing objectives. The opposite team tries to keep them from succeeding before time runs out. Sucks to be you. In Gladiator, only the gladiator can earn points. The goal is to kill them and become them, then rack up as many points as you can before you're taken out. Then rinse and repeat. Finally, we have Monkey Assistant. This is basically a deathmatch, but one in which the losing player has a group of ninja monkeys that spawn and assist them. It's pretty funny. Beyond game types, you can also edit the recommended bots and weapons that appear on each map, allowing for a deeply customized experience. In this game, the weapons and characters are actually visualized, unlike in TS2. There are also unique weapons not accessible in the campaign, such as the brick and the monkey gun, which fires bullets in a sideways banana-shaped arc. The view screen is also a monkey's face. This was also the only game in the series with access to Xbox Live. However, I know TS2 and Future Perfect can still be played online by other means, which I will discuss toward the end of the video. Most often, this is used as a bot mode for single-player or split-screen matches. The bots, much like in TS2, can perform various flips and dodges that the player cannot. Oh my god, stop f***ing jumping! While annoying at times, they do add variety and make enemies a little more difficult to take out. With all that covered, now would be a good time to discuss each of the multiplayer maps. The first map on the list is Vietnam. Set during the war, this map is filled with the sounds of nearby gunfire. Tropical trees line the hills, while deep in the valley are gun emplacements and bases. They sit opposite one another, separated by the creek from a waterfall. Helicopters fly over, occasionally dropping bombs on the map. One notable aspect of this map is that it is the only one with the shrink power-up, meaning the only method of shrinking on other maps is through the shrink game type. It is situated near a trio of waterfalls. The music on this map is somewhat muted and allows the staccato of gunfire to take center stage. The next mission is Hotel. This building is run down with wallpaper peeling and light fixtures dimmed. There are also newspapers across the map that show a picture of Crow from the campaign. Blood splatters the walls and doors are barricaded to either keep something out or trap something in. The entryway has windows covered by boards and dirty curtains. In a large room are signs of a struggle. Broken things lay everywhere. Boards cover parts of shattered windows, and a poor excuse for a fireplace stays lit. Who is caring for it? Maybe a ghost? During the entire trek through the map, one feels watched. There's a space outside you can walk through where smoke covers the ground. Seeing as how the place is already ruined, it wouldn't hurt to toss another brick in a window. Speaking of windows, there are 2 windows on fire, suggesting something must have just happened inside. There's also a corridor with pipes which blow steam if shot. Another reference to The Shining is in this room. Finally, in the foyer are some bins lit on fire, right in front of a door that has not only been barred by wood, but also chained. Whatever evil occurred here still seems to lurk in the background. The music is super creepy. I wanted to record this and leave the map as soon as possible. Up next is Venice. This takes place in, well, Venice, Italy. The map is centered in some buildings along the Grand Canal, a real location. In a small courtyard are hanging gardens above some nice picnic tables. The canal can be viewed from different angles and travels along the entirety of the playable space, sometimes blocked by different buildings. Some windows have planters sporting colorful flowers. At the end of the Grand Canal is a reflected view of the Basilica of St. Mary of Health, a real location. Some of the buildings have rooms including dining areas and a kitchen. Balconies overlook the water. The coolest thing about this mission is that a player can ride the gondola through the map. It travels through a tunnel, then reaches locations that have power-ups and ammo. It can also allow players to escape if the enemy has an advantage on you. The music is pretty cool. It's sort of repetitive, but fits in an odd way. The temple is full of awesome symbols, statues, and other forms of art. It's lit by torches and breaks through the wall where light is falling through. Many breakable vases line the corridors. A pattern of skulls is carved into the wall at various points. The entrance to the temple is in a cave, lit with large triangular fire pits. Near these are heads on spikes. A table sits between them, probably used for sacrificial rituals. Heading through the cave, you can find a tomb area, one of which contains a lot of gold. If it were broken into by a grave robber, this wouldn't be left behind, suggesting something else caused the damage. There is an outdoor segment which overlooks a strangely leveled land formation across the way. Heading back in, one can find what seems to be the disposal for sacrificed bodies. This map is fairly fun to play, but can be annoying if you get stuck spawning on the outside. The music more than makes up for it though. It's a track that fits and just sounds really cool. Disco, aka the Big Tipper, is one of, if not the coolest maps in the game. This map takes place in a club known as the Big Tipper, of course. It is either owned and or based on Harry Tipper himself, as we will see. The walls are a velvet red streaked in white lines. Different lights form constellations on them and the floor, stars rotating back and forth. There's a band set up on stage, sporting a logo for the Rude Mustaches. One of the coolest features of the map is that this is entirely interactable. Activating each part of the drum set will play the appropriate piece. Oh yeah. You can also test the microphone while looking at the bar, where annoyed customers might be sitting. Excuse me, is this thing on? There are 3 big amps, laying against one is a guitar. This guitar, which looks to me like a Fender Telecaster, will make guitar sounds if shot. The bar across from the stage has all manner of liquor bottles on the back wall. It also has a thatched awning, making it look somewhat tropical. On the other wall is a cigarette dispenser, which explains the need for orange ashtrays everywhere. Moving on, we find a tropical saltwater fish tank, complete with corals of many colors. There's a water effect of light filtering through to the white sand. Living inside are what seem to be yellow tangs, as well as what might be a form of Sergeant Major fish. The tank is really cool to watch. I wonder if this is where Robofish recruits his allies. The largest room of the map is a huge disco section, with a ball spinning up high. On the walls are silhouettes of dancers, which are also used to distinguish the bathrooms. The floor is lit up with all sorts of colors, as well as other spinning lights. 4 large amps sit close to the dance floor. If one is feeling chill, they can hang out on the Tiger Print Lounge, or the Fainting Couch. In front of the dance floor is a mixing station where the DJ changes tunes. There's an album case that says Norgacious G and has a man with an afro on it. The face of this man is, unless I'm mistaken, that of Graeme Norgate, who made the music for the Timesplitters franchise. And so, the title is a play on Norgate, his last name, and something akin to Notorious B.I.G., with the G representing Graeme. If you interact with the records, you'll hear some remix scratching. There's a label on each record that has 4 people on it, but there's not enough definition to find out who. The map also has a giant statue of Harry himself, one finger to the sky. The music is really fun and fitting, and the different curves and drops make this an enjoyable map for things like bag tag. The next map is Subway, which is what it says on the tin. The underground station is grimy and dark, and has graffiti all over its vending machines. I would not stick my dollar in there. There are 3 tracks in total, one of which is alone off to the side of the map. The other 2 are side by side. From this vantage point you can see both, as well as a set of levers. If pulled, these levers will activate subway cars that run past each other across their respective tracks, killing anyone who is crossing. Come on. Boom! Look at that. It's super fun. There are also many humorous voice lines that play over the intercom.
We advise all passengers to carry a sidearm or small artillery for their own protection.
Around?
This is a lost child announcement. Little Timmy is wearing a blood-stained t-shirt, a red headband, and is carrying his favorite shotgun. He was last seen pistol whipping his way down the platform. Thank you. We would kindly ask that customers please use the entire length of the platform when attacking each other. The station announcement. There are several people in this area who are armed and dangerous. Approach with extreme violence.
Lobotomy. Killing spree.
The music for this mission is basically a looping drum beat. The Zeppelin is a very cool map situated on a flying blimp. Here's a full image of what the blimp looks like from the side. It's labeled the CC-01, which I'm not sure has any real significance. This will be the only map image I am using in this manner, as I don't want to pull much information from old guides. These sometimes have copyright and or present false information, etc. The interior is quite large. There's a lot of metal framework that makes up the playable space. Industrial fans can lift the player to higher floors, allowing for a lot of maneuverability that other maps lack. In the next room is the bomb release section. There's a bomb hanging which can be walked on to acquire a damage boost. However, the bomb can be released by being shot, dropping it and any players atop it down into the water below the Zeppelin. The ocean can handle more radiation, right? You can also traverse the outer segments of the Zeppelin, moving between the turbines without flying off. If you climb the highest peak, the clouds will disappear, allowing a clear view of the endless ocean below. The final place to explore is the Sky Lounge, which has a huge hole in the floor. The wallpaper in here is strangely nostalgic, and the windows offer a cool view. If it weren't for the gaping OSHA violation, this would be a really nice place to hang. There are also pictures of various blimps and such. The music for this mission is lighthearted and enjoyable. I don't get how it relates to being on a Zeppelin, but oh well. The next map is a prison situated between a rocky gorge on Mars. There are radar dishes and antennas on top of the buildings. There's a room with lots of blue computer screens. Other than the word inbound, it's hard to make any words out. I assume it's a log of inbound prisoners to the station. Most of the other rooms look similar to one another, and the map is fairly boring all things considered. The music is also nothing to write home about. Apologies to Mars prison fans. The next map is a frozen lake in Siberia. This lake makes up most of the playable space. Along the sides are 2 bases opposite one another. There are also bunker towers with gaps through which to shoot enemies. Oftentimes battles will occur as sniping matches with everyone running across the ice. The most interesting thing about this map is that it is the only multiplayer map with a vehicle. It kinda reminds me of the first Gorillaz album. Apart from being perhaps the largest multiplayer map, there are no other major details to discuss. The next map is an underground bunker. Inside are many rooms full of militaristic communications equipment. They also have horrible cable management. There's a large war planning room filled with maps and books. One of these says NAPI codes, which could refer to any number of things, including the following: Network Application Programming Interface, which only really connects to the word codes; North American PCTE Initiative, which refers to a persistent cyber training environment as a military phenomenon, something I've never heard about that sounds really cool; Naval Aeronautic Publications Index, which could connect to the militaristic theme; and finally, the Northern Alliance of Paranormal Investigators, which has no connection, but I just thought it was funny. I tried to find some of the mapped locations on Google Earth but had no luck. If you recognize any of these, please shout them out in the comments. The room looks like it was torn apart by an enemy squad looking for these people. Perhaps that's why the previous owners fled and left so much behind. One of the maps has a coffee splatter thrown across it, but at least it looks more like coffee than blood. Over on this side are radios, phones, and dials, perhaps suggesting that the secret society here was listening in on other groups of people, maybe even their own citizens. On the outside of these rooms are service tunnels which mirror each other, the whole map being symmetrical. A large central room acts as the usual conflict point of multiplayer matches. A hatch can be found that looks up into what seems to be a blue sky. Either that or we are stuck under some ice. The next map is really cool. Titled VR, or Virtual Reality, it takes place within a computer and is fully fictional. That's like Inception level stuff. There are 3 distinct locations. One is a red and orange room with what looks to be power cores or roots through it. The next is a wide open area with blocky clouds and wind lines that move through and disappear as battles occur below. The final area is almost like a park filled with strange trees of code. In Assault mode, this map unlocks a lot of sections, becoming the largest of any of them. Random note, but this visual effect reminds me of the Candy Ass album by Orgy. Anyone else see the resemblance? The track for this mission is a calm cyber song which elicits wonder, but also a feeling of a lack of control over the simulation. The next map is called Spaceport and serves as an airship docking station. There are 2 bases, one situated on top of the other. The blue base is a large computer room, probably used for communicating the logistics of stellar transit. Along the map are holes in the wall which allow you to see enemy players and shoot them. There is caution tape around each one of these openings. A coal generator room exists on the blue team side of things. It's got see-through floors. In another room are windows that allow you to see where the station is located. The dry dock is perhaps the most memorable segment of the map. It holds a ship that can only possibly be a drone. Either that or pilots shrink to fit inside it. It hovers, giving the player a golden shower, as if the challenges on this map don't piss them off enough. Trust me, we will talk about it later. The red team side of the map is basically a bunch of rooms with steam. The lowest tunnel room had so much steam that it can sometimes mask the presence of opponents. Now, the reason this map is the absolute worst of the game, or perhaps the entire franchise, is that the 2 teams can only reach each other through one path. This causes issues because it takes so long to find one another. If done, there could end up being a spawn killing situation with little hope of escape, as there is no circular direction through which to traverse the playable space. Regardless of it being the worst map by far, I do like the aesthetic and the music track. It seems so hopeful and almost inspirational in a cheesy way. This map is the only multiplayer map to appear in all 3 games. As I have already covered it in the previous video, I will only show notable changes here, and the water segment, because I forgot that last time. Future Perfect adds a new tunnel to aid in traversal, that way players aren't caught in a dead end. Also, they finally fixed the box model on the shelf. In the kitchen is a poster of Gaston Boucher and the carrion carcass, right across from some food cooking in a wok. The walls of the primary building now have slightly different themes. They include changes of color from the previous title, but not much else. The coolest part of the map is this scorpion terrarium. These poor guys must always feel under attack, as the glass is on top. One scurries around while 2 others hang out on rocks. The music is awesome as always. This map is basically exactly the same from TS2, but with advanced textures and a dimmer color. The most important function of the map still exists, and that is all that matters. Also, the music still rips. The final map is Training Ground, which was also in TS2. It has changed only slightly and now lacks the cameras within bases that used to show real-time events on the map. The overall color of the map is more pale and varied than before. You can still do the waterfall glitch, however. This allows you to kill enemies from complete safety outside the bounds of the map. To do this, play the shrink game type with all bots turned on. Allow yourself to fall into last place, grab a speed boost to pass the enemies, and get yourself to the waterfall. If you're short enough, you should clip right through the back and into an open space. From here you can rack up points with no worries. If you end up getting ahead in the ranks, you'll become larger, so I don't know if you can go back through. This opens a strange view of the map, having a skybox that seems to be reflected in water. It's a very liminal scene. All of those maps are fine and dandy, but what if you wanted to make your own? Well, the MapMaker is here for you. With it, you can create many types of maps for different game types, even including custom story missions. Here we can see a pre-made map that I've loaded into the system. You can place rooms on different levels and connect them through various pieces. In these rooms, you can place weapons, objective items, scenery objects, portals, and even enemies. There are different tile sets as well, which change the overall theme of the build. The ambient lighting can be changed too. With the logic system, you can link all of these factors in order to create a story gauntlet through which characters can run. There's also a unique soundtrack that was made specifically for this map editor. These custom maps could be shared and played on Xbox Live back in the day, which is awesome. Before we move on to the character segment, we should take a look at a few pre-made maps. I'll add a short segment of supercuts to show what is possible. If anyone would like me to try and complete all the pre-made maps for another video, let me know in the comments. The first map was called TS1 Redux. Here was my attempt. Cortez must enter the ancient temple of M'Ogro Gibog. Gobig or go home. Wait, go. Oh, yes, cool. I knew it was backwards. M'Ogro Gibog. It's go big or go home backwards. Alright. Let's see how we can do in this mission. So, one thing you'll notice right off the bat is you can do outdoor maps, which is not something that was possible before. Are the yellow keycards the things that drop? Okay, I guess they are. Alright, next area. What's in this barrel here? Anything? No, it just explodes. Okay. Oh boy. These guys are bigger. Give me a rocket launcher. What? I can't have it? Oh, I need the red key card. Oh my gosh, well that didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay, you have to kill them. Oh, but this one's a red keycard? Oh, that door opens, okay. Ninja monkeys are attacking me, they're throwing bricks. Okay, well, maybe it's open now, shield? Okay, well, that was my attempt at that. The next was Cat Racing Extreme. So you've lowered your suspension, added some shiny new alloy casters, and Strudel's been eating NOS for 2 weeks. The only thing left to impress the ladies is to take part in the high-risk sport of extreme cat racing. Can I play as the cat? Oh, it's got a good song with it too. Oops, already effed up. Oh, nice, I did it. Okay. Nope, I went backwards. Alright, kitty. You could do this. Oh, that's an invisible wall. Okay. Go for it. Oh, come on. Oh, oh. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, I'm on the lip of it. Dang it. Can I freaking chunk the thing? I can. Get up there. Oh, but then I can't activate it. Okay. Go for it. Oh, yeah, baby! Oh! Nice. And jump! Oh, failed it! No! And we're back to the bottom. Finally, I tried and completed the crystal challenge, which strangely involved no crystals. Collect the coins in under a minute and a half. If this one is as fast as it should be, then we'll do the buggy racing thing that it said. Alright. Okay. I'm just testing a route. Okay, so if this is not the most optimal, it's okay. Is there even anything to do up here? Am I just wasting time? No, I'm not wasting time. Is that the last one? 19? No. Okay. There's a path over here. I just now saw there was another place off to the side too. Sorry, I was having some tea. It's fitting for the occasion. This is an English game after all. Oh, you can't go up that way. That's a restart. But this still only gives us 30. 31. I think the last one must be in here, huh? Oh, it's right there. Oh, get it! Oh, come on. Alright, I have an idea now. Okay. We're gonna skip that one slide altogether. I'm gonna beat one of these pre-made missions, dang it. 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. It's right here. Drop off? Drop off? Oh, it's over here. 1, 2. Hey, I did it. Alright. Like I mentioned before, I would be willing to retry these and all other pre-made maps in another video, if it is something people are interested in seeing. I would also include those from Timesplitters 2. There are many playable characters in the arcade mode which are unlocked through completing certain missions or challenges in the game. I've collected every one, but cannot play cooperative mode through my current copy. I do have it on Xbox though, and so I'll add the 2 missing characters at the end of the line. Let's go through each of them, and then I'll highlight some I particularly like. Fair warning, some of them have animations or designs that might cause problems with YouTube, so I may have to cover certain bits. Apologies for that, but there's not much I can do. Cortez, Space-Time Marine Extraordinaire. Henchman Cortez, the man himself, looking sharp in his banana boots. Dr. Cortez. There's a joke here somewhere about bald men in roll-neck sweaters. I can't quite remember it. Time Assassin Cortez. Black with buckles, leather straps, and a hood. How cool is that? Bound to impress the chicks unless, of course, you get the eye-hole misaligned and trip over a coffee table. Captain Ash. On returning from his Amazonian adventures, the esteemed Captain Ash has been enjoying traditional hospitality in Bonnie, Scotland. Although with the company of the Jungle Queen during those dark Caledonian nights, it's been less of the Robbie Burns and more of the carpet variety. Harry Tipper. Very Special Agent Tipper. Licensed to chill and the grooviest cat in town. Harry, or should that be Harriet? I think your mustache is showing. Perhaps it needs a trim. Jo Beth Casey. F sure. Okay. Amy Chen. Amy is actually really sweet. It's just that everyone seems to get on her bad side. Dr. Amy. The only way you'll get Amy out of her regulation leggings is to wave a designer outfit in front of her. R110. This season's model from the popular R100 series of war robots. Victorian Crow. Crow in all his steam-powered Victorian anachronistic splendor. Oh yes, those were the days. The British Empire, unparalleled industrial might, small boys climbing up chimneys, and tins of condensed milk. Okay. Karma Crow. Everyone assumed it was a wig, but actually that long flowing hair is all his. Jacob Crow at the outset of his twisted career. Happy, carefree days when his idea of fun was playing with cadavers and injecting green phosphorescent fluids into cats' eyeballs. Ew, what a monster. Mad Crow. What can you say? He's crazy as a coot and daft as a brush. Anya. So you think physics is boring? You've never been to one of Anya's night classes. No comment there. Captain Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's always first writing poetry in any kind of trench warfare situation. Nobby Peters. Nobby's always first getting a brew on in any kind of trench warfare situation. Sapper Johnson. Always getting first dug in any kind of trench warfare situation. Jenkins. Always first over the top. Ivor Baddock, it's not easy keeping discipline on a small island. Pulav Yuran, it's not oh, he has the same dialogue. Same for Comrade Papadov. Warrant Officer Kane is in charge of the keys to the castle cellars. He's a very popular man, because that's where the wine is kept. Warrant Officer Keeley is in charge of the safe where the keys to the castle cellars are kept. When they're not busy polishing their helmets, the deep divers like to go all the way down. The Jungle Queen has taken to her new life in the Scottish Highlands like a true native. She has been amazing Captain Ash with her natural talents for fly fishing and tossing the caber, and he's never had his bagpipes played quite like that before. Oak A. the New, Robot Louis Stevenson. Away from the pressures of his day job, this multi-talented mechanical marvel of the industrial age likes to let off steam writing romantic potboilers. Unfortunately, like many Victorian authors, he's afflicted by a compulsive vice. In his case, an unshakable coke habit. Okay. A robot on coke, that's cool. Working in Crow's mines can be very hazardous to your health. John needs a special mask just to protect his mustache. Fergalstack. Off to be found in the warehouse quietly amusing himself by stacking boxes while wearing a silly hat. Callas, or Archibald Granville Callas, as he'd rather you didn't know. Still, it looks like his plans for taking over the world are still swinging along. The Booty Guard. That wry old devil Callas has an elite corps of extremely personal bodyguards who attend to his special needs and maniacal whims. Only women can apply. How's that for positive discrimination and enlightened recruitment policies? Kitten Celeste. Sometimes things get a little too hot under the collar for Harry, and he needs some manual assistance from his slinky sidekick, Miss Celeste. Go get him, Tiger. Henchwoman. The henchwomen asked Callas for some concessions to women's lib in the workplace, like maybe a sisterhood of ultra science. So he burnt their brasseries and got them some mini dresses. He's very progressive. The elite henchwoman. Black rubber mini dresses. Callas is a genius. The henchman. Things are definitely looking up for the henchmen since the Brotherhood of Ultra Science kicked off. The introduction of a regular calisthenics exercise program has upped fitness levels considerably. Now, with the additional female recruits and communal changing areas, they've never had it so good. The elite henchmen. The black costumes are back, and guess what? Yep, everyone wants one because they're so much hipper than the powder blue. Well, everyone that is, apart from the guys who would rather be wearing the mini dresses. Vlad the Installer. Vlad is responsible for all the technical systems around Callas' base. More correctly, Vlad gets a slap whenever anything breaks down. It's also a reference to Vlad the Impaler, looks like. Leonid. You'd be surprised how many workmen it takes to run a secret base. Oleg. Oleg only joined Callas' organization because of the excellent safety record. Now he wishes he'd stayed at the steel mill across the road. Dr. Peabody has never quite been the same since he signed up for one of Nurse Gulag's intensive electrotherapy spa treatment. Nurse Gulag. Always a popular choice for flu jabs and yearly medicals amongst the Brotherhood of Ultra Science. Nurse Gulag is well respected for her strict, if somewhat unconventional, examination techniques. The Deer Hunter. Go on, just try tying this guy onto the roof rack of your sports utility vehicle. Carrion Carcass. He may not be much to look at, but Carrion is a big hit with the ladies on account of being so well hung. Headspratter. My, Mr. Headspratter, what big teeth you have. Mr. Flesh Cage. Now that's got to sting a little. It's just not big or clever to have your flayed skin stretched taut on a wicker frame. Clip Clamp. Autopsy Schmautopsy. Crispin. He's had one too many brushes with the flamethrower. Even he can't remember what he used to look like. Gideon Gout. He's dead and he doesn't even know it. Jed. Jed's dead, baby. Arthur Aking. Arthur's not really dead, he just thought it would be funny to pretend. Gilbert Gastric. Eat brains, eat brains, eat brains. Joe Barv Creepy. Gag me with a spoon. Okay. Gladstone. You cold, my lord? Unflappable, unswerving, and thoroughly undead, Gladstone is the ideal manservant for the discerning gentleman. Blanche Deadwood. Proof that French polishing can give you a nasty splinter if you rub too vigorously. Gaston Boucher. His boudin blanc, totally pronounced that wrong, are to die for, and his petite fours are murderously divine. Gaston considers himself a true master of the art of French killing. Dr. Lancet. You'd be nervous too if you worked in the mansion. Dr. Pustule. Physician, heal thyself. Not much chance of that then. Nurse Tourniquet. An excellent first aider. Her bandages are always tight and restrictive. Nurse Sputum. That uniform is going to need a low temperature biologic wash. Even then I'm sure that some of those stains still won't shift. Lenny Oldburn. Proof, as if it were needed, that years of sticking your head inside the bass bins at heavy metal concerts will eventually take their toll. Edwina. She's more dangerous than she looks. Deadwina. Go on, pick her. She needs the exercise. Brother Bartholomew. The eugenics researcher scientists try to sanitize the horrors of their twisted research by wearing designer smocks around the labs. Sister Faith. It took 6 months before Sister Faith could convince the other eugenic scientists that girls like pulling the legs off spiders too. 6 months and a whole lot of spiders. Envirosuit. He's already sweated off 5 pounds running around in that suit this afternoon. The liquid is collected in his boots and his chiropotus is going to have to deal with some nasty chafing. Neophyte Lucian. Eugenics office workers follow Crow's insane ravings with an almost fanatical fervor. Neophyte Constance. Constance spends most of her expensive budget on hairspray. Security. Petty theft of pins or staplers from the eugenics offices has been much reduced since Crow got these new security guys in. Can you imagine stealing a pin on accident and then getting ganked for it? Jack Sprocket. From the humble RS-232 interface lead to the latest X77 nanotech multiplexer, Jack has all the answers. Although even he can never manage to buy the correct type of writable DVD media. Wow, that definitely dates this game. Inceptor. Cloned from genetic samples taken from catwalk models, the Inceptors are trained to kill and look damn good while they're about it. They are naturally bald, and Crow likes nothing better than to caress their smooth domes. Ew. The Inceptors has basically the same description. The Freak. An everyday story of genetic manipulation gone wrong. At least on the bright side, he's resistant to most common crop diseases. Tin Legs Tommy. The eugenics-sponsored soup kitchen specializes in drugged minestrone and illicit amputations. Secura Droid XP. Don't make him angry. Makes his face go all red. The General. All he ever really wanted was his own special robot to keep him company in the long, lonely nights. Poor guy. Private Hicks. A foot soldier in the battle against the Timesplitters. Private Jones. Same description. Lazarus Mumble. Lazarus excels at undercover operations. His crenocap is resistant to machine electro-interrogation techniques, and his surgical lip-zip job almost eliminates the risk of inadvertent blabbing. Mordecai Jones. The brave leader of the rebel forces in their battle against the machines. Mordecai can proudly trace his ancestry of fighting injustice all the way back to the Wild West. It's actually pretty cool. That's a connection to Timesplitters 2. Genghis Kant. It's pretty funny. Genghis Kant is probably how it's actually pronounced. A complicated young chap whose interests include transcendental analysis and driving his enemies before him. He has never lost a coffeehouse debate on account of his fondness for placing his opponent's heads on spikes. Angel Forge. You can ask all you want, but despite appearances, she's not actually a real welder. Wow, what a plot twist. Prison Officer. Fanatical alternate security officers can get fast-track promotion if they have cybernetic implants. Jonas has been tipped for the top. Lieutenant Black. At the interview, Miss Black said she'd happily give her right arm to work for the Ultranet. Crow took her up on the offer and then went one better. Encetic SD-12. The Machine Wars saw many fascinating technological developments. The Encetic series of combat droids featured an innovative attachment for extracting stones from horses' hooves. Okay, Encetic SK-10. Identical to the Encetic SD-12, in all respects save the custom black paint job. Cheekily, this was classed as an option in the catalog, and the manufacturers charged a hefty premium. Prometheus SD-7. Heavy-duty battle droid. Models produced after March 2243 come with an electromagnetic shield installed as standard and a 12 months interest-free credit package. Prometheus SK-8. The ever-popular SK limited edition of the Prometheus droid. Improved traction control means less embarrassing falling over in laser firefights, and the sports body kit with discreet Turbo Big Boy badging is guaranteed to turn heads on any post-apocalyptic urban battlefield. Goliath SD-9. Need to get killed? Call 0800 Goliath. All killing all the time. Med Unit 6. The Ultranet robots thought life at the base was becoming too serious, so the med units were introduced to give the place a more jolly atmosphere. Time Assassin. Highly trained ruthless killers with a reckless disregard for the consequences of their temporal shenanigans. These guys would quite literally kill their own father or grandfather or any ancestor really. They're not too fussy. Berserker Splitter. He'll eat you before you even know he's there. That's how hard he is. Monkey? Yep, it's still a monkey. Cyborg Chimp. Inevitable, really. Brains. Ah, bless, it's a little undead furry freak. Ninja Monkey. Trained in the deadly art of kick-ass. Renzo. Someone's got to go up front. May as well be the crazy one. Goddard. He always feels slightly put out that Renzo and Schmidt both have a bit more character than him. Schmidt. He's big, he's bad, he is your dad. Okay. Jacques de l'Amour. Spring Heel Jacques is back and he's mad as a hatter. Viola. Censored. Mr. Underwood. He reckons the undead are a load of poppy sticks and cocky fiddle. Or is that poppycock and fiddlesticks? Anyway, if they do exist, they had better watch out for the business end of his shotgun. Sewer Zombie. When he's not bobbing in the Parisian sewers, he's equally at home floating down a Venetian canal. Undead Priests. An ecumenical conundrum. Crypt Zombie. Corpses have rested for centuries in the crypts of the great Venetian churches, until the evil magic of Jacques de l'Amour raised them as flesh-eating zombies, ready to carry out his every demand. You can't fault him for sticking with a winning plan. Maiden. 2 years have gone by and she's still innocent and pure. I have no idea how she manages it. Changeling. Looks like the maiden forgot to put on her makeup this morning. The Cropolite. A demon from another dimension, the Cropolite has been drawn to our world by the space-time rift opened by the Timesplitters. Jared Slim. Jared's recently packed in the callous murdering. Nowadays he just stays home and plays Texas Hold'em online against bored housewives. He usually loses. Venus. Always keeps her shooters loaded and ready for action. Chastity. The chic cyberpunk crime buster returns. Ghost. Still a cyberjock, still hacking the Matrix, still unsure exactly of what that even means. The Master. Nobody has managed to work out how he reconciles a philosophy of non-violence with carrying large automatic weapons, but they're sure that he has a clever and well-considered explanation. Riot Officer. The Neo-Tokyo Riot Squad are rigorously trained, acting in all situations to control disturbances with an iron fist. Mischief. If she asks you round to the back of the coconut shy to pull some saltwater taffy, just say no. Mr. Giggles. Mr. Giggles stumbled into a small English village when he was just a boy. Although he was adopted by a loving family, he was never truly happy until he ate them and joined the circus. Leo Krups. Leo was once the circus lion tamer, but over the years he adopted more and more of his lion's characteristics until one morning he was found alone in the lion's cage roaring and dribbling. He's lived as a lion ever since. Stumpy. When he grows up he wants to be taller, but bear. Not like that, just like that. He ain't never gonna do it without the fez on. Kyprus. The experts are still out on this one. Stone Golem. The secret's out. He keeps his tiny stones in his little sack. Aztec Warrior. Modeling the latest in heavy gold jewelry, nose piercing, pudding bowl haircut, and high-performance athletic support, this guy cuts a mean dash through any tropical rainforest. He's not so keen on prickly thickets, though. High Priest. Yeah, well, this dude thinks you look pretty strange, too. Dinosaur. Go on, rip it up, you extinct Shikiosaurus thing, you. Braces. Looks like Braces got the last laugh. I don't see Big Tony in this game. Handyman. Give it up, people. Let's welcome him back with a big hand. Oh, okay then, let's not. Candy Skylar. She's still got a cute butt and she's just been promoted to Fleet Command. Surely there's no connection? R107. A few deranged zealots were drawn to the machine wars. Poor Robert 107 is under the delusion that he is a carefully constructed robot sent to save the world from evil. Calamari. There's a difference of opinion here. The Chinese chef favors a sweet and sour sauce, whilst Gaston Boucher's suggests pan frying with chorizo. Calamari says they'll have to prise the gun out of his cold dead tentacles. Corporal Hart. Cortez's old sidekick. Who knows, if she hadn't caught one in the kisser back in Timesplitters 2, she might still be around. Oh, I see. You've completed the story game, so the Timesplitters never existed and she didn't die. Well, how come there's a selectable Timesplitter character then? Badass Cyborg. He's still the leanest, the meanest, and the badass machinist. Snowman. Brought to life by a child's wish, the flying snowman traverses time in search of death or glory. And maybe some legs, too. Robofish. Goldfish Boy rides again. Chinese Chef. The undisputed master of dim sum and char siu returns. Gingerbread Man. Run as fast as you can, shotgun in hand as the Gingerbread Man. Duckman Drake. He's quack and he's back. Again. Kuzermox. After the Meezer and Ozermox battled each other to extinction, the Kuzermox, who were, to be fair, playing a waiting game, took over. Teeth Mummy. Well, at least they'll be able to identify him from dental records. Captain Ed Shivers. It's a hard life being a pirate. Ed is always having to beat off other seamen who are trying to get a hold of his jewels and pieces of 8. I had to read that out loud. Gretel, third generation incarnation of the original metal femme fatale. Ariel da Vinci, balsa wood, PVA adhesive, twine, and too much spare time. Dozer. What is it? Don't ask me. Sheriff Skullface. Upholding the law isn't easy when you're dead. No one takes you seriously. The Shoal. Eat krill, eat krill, eat krill. Hans, everyone's favorite headshot. Mr. Saki. Normally just an ordinary sock, when things get rough he turns into Mr. Saki, the psychotic sock monster. Lieutenant Christine Malone. Her impeccable arrest record is enough to make her chest swell with pride. Eli Scrubs. Bipedal tractors are the latest must-have accessory for the cactus men about town. For Jim Smith, John and Jim can often be found working together in submarine docks. They're dual welders. Get it? Dual welders? For Daisy Dismay, Daisy, Daisy, I'm half crazy just from one look at you. Some of these characters, such as the Undead Priest, are placed in packages like an action figure. Many of these are brought back from previous titles. Now I'm gonna rapid fire some extra details about specific characters. The Cyborg Monkey is basically RoboCop. Deadwinna was originally supposed to be the main antagonist for the Mansion of Madness. Her character gesture and dialogue is a reference to the original Exorcist. In his gesture, Ghost says, "Abani watashi wa ninja," which translates to, "Watch out, I'm a ninja." Gretel Mark III is the third iteration of a robot series that has lasted through the franchise. The Kuzer is one of 3 similar alien species from Planet X, the others being Meezer and Ozer from TS2. You can see Leonid's eyes, which is pretty funny. The Maiden says, "Do you want to sleep with death?" in French. Mordecai Jones is a descendant of Elijah Jones from TS2 and Peekaboo Jones from TS1. Robot Louis Stevenson is a reference to a Scottish novelist, Robert Louis Stevenson. He wrote Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. JoBeth Casey is also related to another character from the previous title. R110 is an advancement on the R108 and R109 robots from TS1 and 2 respectively. Vlad the Installer is a reference to Vlad the Impaler, a Wallachian noble who used to impale his enemies on spikes. Some of my favorite playable characters are Robot Louis Stevenson, Encetic SK10, Viola, Corporal Hart, Sheriff Skullface, and the Shoal, of course. Next, we should discuss the Arcade League. This is a group of challenges created using the settings of arcade mode on different maps. When completed, they award a trophy which correlates to a reward. These trophies include 4 ranks: Bronze, which is a monkey, Silver, which is JoBeth, Gold, which is Cortez, and Platinum, which is above Gold as bragging rights, and takes the form of R110. This game has 15 Arcade League challenges, whereas TS2 had a total of 60. They are separated into Amateur, Honorary, and Elite Leagues. Most were fairly easy, but I'll share a couple difficult ones with you here. I gotta go after this one. Oh, they're below me. I don't think I have enough time to do this, but we will see. Come on, General. It's you and me. You probably have more than one life left. Oh, I got him. That was a nice shot. Oh, come on. Oh my god. That was pure luck. Screw me sideways. Jeez Louise.
3, 2,
alright, let's do this. Oh my god. Yep, I'm gonna need a rocket launcher. Okay, I guess he has one too now. Okay. Getting tired of saying okay. Okay. Damn, 30 kills in 2.5 minutes? 30? Really? There's gotta be a different weapon or something going on. I can't aim. Save my life. Okay, that was good. Good nade, I'll give you that. I can't hit the f***ing cactus for the life of me. Is this cactus man possible to hit? The answer is no. I have 25 seconds to get 15 more kills, and this doesn't even aim right. Okay, let's do this until I get a good start. 3. Oh my god, 0.6 off, you gotta be kidding me. Nope, that's the same spot. No. No, that's also the same spot. No. That'll work.
2, 3.
What? It rerouted to him? Stop it with the nades, you stupid cactus. You see, it's not fair that they can do all these flips and shit and dodge every shot whenever I just have to stand there and take it with a grin in my skull, my scully face. God, even that with like perfect spawns and everything wasn't enough. Oh my god, stop f***ing jumping, you stupid cactus. Oh my god, I could not have gotten anything better than that. Are you serious? I literally was spawn killing them and it wasn't enough. The melee in this game is like absolutely pointless. Okay, I'm literally doing the best you possibly can. You gotta be kidding me. God. Oh wait, 218. Oh my god, I got it. The game also has a challenge mode which consists of unique tasks that don't correlate to arcade mode settings. These include fighting waves of zombies, racing as Strudel through different maps, breaking glass, etc. As this video is becoming quite long, I will only include a few of these here. Alright, I'm going to hold down the triggers for both of us, and you're just going to aim at your side and try to take out as many of the guys as you can. Okay, nice. Wave 2, no damage on either of us. Okay, cool.
Oh, I got him!
Nice job. There's one in the middle.
Oh my god,
You're doing great! Oh, do your best, do your best. I can't hit them at all, they're all on you.
Oh my god!
You're doing great! Two more.
Oh my
Three,
god!
okay, there's another one. This wave is you focused.
Stay away from me! Okay.
You did not take a single shot, good job.
I didn't.
Nope. Most of these challenges were rather easy and really fun. I just hate the rare well done challenge and find the subway one to be difficult at times. Next up we have cheats that are unlockable through completing certain things in the game. Here I've turned on some of the options in order to highlight the craziness. They include changing the size of characters' heads or bodies, making them invisible, changing weapon sounds, etc. That's probably my favorite sound. Let's see what other weapons we have here in the old-timey world. Yeah. These cheats can be turned on in the campaign, and I'm willing to attempt a challenge involving them if that's something people would like to see. There are a few ways you can play this game currently. You can purchase a used copy of the game for PlayStation 2, Xbox, or GameCube. It's also purchasable on the Xbox store and is backwards compatible. You can find it on the web and use the mouse injector included within the description of this video. Remember, click links at your own risk and be smart when traversing different sites. For the really dedicated, there's also something called Xlink Kai, where you can use your original Xbox console to access multiplayer online. I believe you can also use your scavenged copies somehow. Now we have to talk about the Timesplitters 4 project. Free Radical came back together under a company called Embracer. As far as I understand, the parent company bought too many IPs during the past few years and shed some to save money. Unfortunately, Free Radical and Timesplitters was one of these. I was so excited in the past video too. Free Radical has apparently got back together and are at work on some sort of project. I'm hoping for either a remastered collection of all three, complete with achievements and quality of life updates, or a completely new Timesplitters title.
Just think. I could tell him about Crow and the time crystals, the island. I could stop this whole thing.
No, Cortez, we're too close.
The following comes from an anonymous interview, apparently from one of the developers. Some of this can be confirmed, but not all, so take this information with a grain of salt. The project had numerous issues since the beginning. At first, it was a Fortnite clone with Timesplitter skins. This was basically against the will of those working on the project, but heads of the company wanted a similar monetization scheme. Eventually the project moved into what they called an expanded Timesplitters 2 remake. Even still, there was no clear title chosen. The game was originally a free-to-play battle royale, where characters and skins could be purchased in-game, with real currency. As this was going to be a battle royale, it originally did not have a story. Whenever the change in direction occurred, swapping it to a TS2 remake, there was the thought of having Corporal Hart play through the campaign instead. This would have been so cool, sort of like an alternate timeline sort of thing. Her character design is so badass and criminally underutilized. Some of the concept art for maps and characters is just phenomenal. Unless I'm mistaken, some of the character models, if not other things, was from Alfred Turner, who plays a large role as a character designer in Timesplitters Rewind. In an interview with Steve Ellis, one of the core members of the original Free Radical team, it was mentioned that he had been approached many times about a remaster, but companies could not justify the cost. The wide range of character, item, and level assets would be more than the game could generate. He later discusses hiring graduates for new ideas coming from younger people. Then comes a quote that hit me in the gut. That's the difficult thing when you're trying to bring something back like Timesplitters. It was good in its day, but its day was 20 years ago. This hurts quite a bit because it is so true, but that day of games included content-packed single-issue purchases like the Timesplitters series. Today, as is evidenced by the direction the remake was going to, everything is hyper-monetized. Games are made to sell, not to be enjoyable, not to be crafted as works of art like they used to be. There was a funny part of the interview where Ellis said some old fans suggested that you shouldn't be able to jump in the new game. Surely that was a joke, but I found it funny. The interview goes on to discuss the released footage seen here. This was not the product they were working on when the company was shut down. They had already moved to the TS2 remake by then. This is interesting because the anonymous developer interview we discussed before suggests that Ellis never intended the game to be a Fortnite clone, but only said that to get funding before quickly changing direction. The interview ends with Ellis saying it is probably the end of his involvement with the series, as the project failure was a huge letdown. I honestly don't blame him, but it hurts all the same. As that project is probably as iced as the Reaper Splitter in 1990 Siberia, we should look ahead to other things. In the 16 months since I released the Timesplitters 2 Deep Dive, Timesplitters Rewind has released a single update video. This was in March of this year, 2024. The title alone gave me pause. Development has been in a content lock since December of 2022, meaning the developers have stopped producing new content in an effort to polish what is already there. Many maps, characters, animations, etc. are in need of final steps to ensure that they meet project standard. Checking the Discord, they have been active as recently as last month. Apparently a lot of people have filed applications for positions in the project, which is great news. If you're looking to do the same, here are some positions they're looking for. Character artists and animators, environment artists, technical designers, bug fixers, and weapon animators. Time slowed on this project multiple times due to legal issues and engine switches, the latter of which has been stated to not occur again. This project has been going off and on since around 2012. 12 years have passed since then, causing many to throw up their hands and assume the project is done for. That is the easy opinion to have. Luckily, I don't see it from many of you who commented on the previous video. However, I have seen it elsewhere. The team at Rewind is doing all of this work for free, bringing their creative talents to work on a project that is probably our last best hope for the series. If you can lend your hand to them, there are links in the description which will help you find the proper channels. This game is near and dear to so many hearts, including mine. Many of you have waited for this video a while, and I hope it met or even exceeded your expectations. I cannot thank you enough for having watched these Timesplitters video. It means a ton to me personally. For those who made it this far, I have an interesting request. Comment your best/hardest idea of an arcade mode challenge that was not in the base game, and name it. If I get enough of these, I'll create a custom league, as it were, and make a video of me attempting to complete those challenges. I do plan on making a Timesplitters 1 deep dive sometime in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. For now, that's all I have. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and even sharing it with a friend. I would love to continue covering video games like this, and your support means everything. I also have a Patreon linked in the description if you are so inclined. You would have access to some cool things, including personal projects that don't fit the nature of the channel. And with that, it's time to split.
Right on.